Okay, this last part of AccessB, Lecture 4, is going to talk about the apply and/or criteria and how they're used to work with your databases and how to manipulate data. The AND criteria, when it's put into the sorting capability, it means that all the criteria that are listed all the way across the design view of the table must be true for that record to be selected. And it's created by entering two or more criteria in the same criteria row of the query design grid. Now let me pull up Access and make sure you catch on to this. We're looking at tours by category. We're looking at the table. We're going to look at the design view, and from that I've told it to sort out any category tour that's in Adventure that's less than or equal to $1,000 and that's located in Florida. And when I run that category, that search, it actually pulls up 4 adventures that are in Florida that are less than $1,000. So that's how it shows you how the AND criteria work. Now let's go back to the design view, and I'm going to clear all those out. We're going to get rid of the price, we're going to get rid of the state, and we're going to get rid of the adventure criteria. So next we want to we'll run that, and it'll bring back the whole database. So go back to the design view. If we want to run a criteria of adventure equals adventure, or it is in Florida, and once again look to see that I'm in the OR column and equal FL, we'll run that, and that'll give us, oops, I gotta go back, excuse me, I gotta go back here. Okay, let's go back and get our full table back. Okay, our full table's back. So now we're going to run, it's either going to be equal to adventure, equal to adventure, or it's going to start with the state abbreviation of Florida. So we're going to run that data and see what we come up with. We come up with 5 that were either adventure or in Florida, so they had to have one or the other categories. Now let's go back and undo that. Let's remove that criteria and the adventure criteria. So let's do this in a different way. Let's put in the AND box, let's put it has to be equal to adventure. But in the tour city or the tour state, it could be equal to Georgia, or you can put in a couple lines down here if you want, or it could be equal to, whoops, my line's disappearing. And let's see what we get with that. So it has to be either Florida, or it has to be either adventure or Georgia. And since Georgia's not part of the choices, it picked adventure. Let's go back, we'll undo that, and we'll do adventure. It has to be a criteria of adventure. Let's change that down to an OR again. Make that an equals adventure. Or state abbreviation, it has to be equal to Colorado. So let's run that again, see what happens. So we've got all Colorado, we've got all adventure. I have a feeling I put that in the wrong line. Or it's either adventure or Colorado, so that we got everything that was either adventure or Colorado in our group. Any other states didn't show up, any other categories didn't show up, just adventure or Colorado. Go back and remove all these, and we run it again, then we'll have the whole list back. Now let's go to we talked about the OR criteria. We just went through that while we were looking at that. Once again, quotation marks around text criteria and pound signs around the data criteria are automatically added for you, which you notice that criterion, number, currency, and yes or no fields are not surrounded by any category or any characters. Searching for blank fields. If you want to have it look for blank fields in your database, you do common criteria, either is null or is not null, which means is null, which means it's going to find all records that have no entry or have no value in it, and is not null means that any record that has a value in it is not going to be caught, is going to be the ones that are going to be looked at. So the comparison operators here that you need to look at are on the bottom of Access 39 with the equal, greater than, or less than, equal, or. They're the mathematical operators we all learned in basic math, basic algebra. Now we're going to take a look at the OR criteria. We already talked about that. We already demonstrated that in the spreadsheet or in the database. OR criteria means that any one criterion must be true for the record to be selected. Creating and entering two or more criteria on different criteria rows in the query grid can be done. And by doing that, you're narrowing things down a little bit more. You've also created by entering two or more criteria in the same criteria cell, separated by OR. So we could go with the two states that we wanted to look at. We could have gone equal to Colorado or Florida, and that would have been the two choices that they would have pulled from that Access database. And this shows you how you can apply the OR criteria in the OR row. And an OR criteria has multiple rows if you wanted to add more to it. Okay, when you want to format a data sheet, you can change the font size, color, grid lines. You can make things look nice and pleasing to the eye, aesthetically pleasing. When you go to format the database or the data sheet, you've got the formatting over here on the right hand side, just like you do on any other worksheet. I'm going to spread this over a little bit so you guys can see it. And as I move this window over, you can see the formatting up here. You've got text formatting options, all kinds of different choices you can make for fonts, font sizes, bold, italics, underline, etc., etc., grids, grid lines, things like that, whatever you may want to add. So play with your data, take a look at how you format your text to see how it looks. So in this Access Lecture B, we've covered using the query wizard. We've talked about working with data in a query, using query design view, sorting and finding data, filtering data, applying and/or, the AND criteria, and applying the OR criteria, and how to format a database data sheet. So that ends Lecture Access B.